investigation at Abu Tbeirah. Please, Licia.
Thank you so much. Just share the screen and the slide. So, I want to thank all the participants because this workshop is really interesting, and lots of new perspectives are opened by your speech, and we really have lots of things to do, further things to do in Abu Tbeirah. What I will present is the work that the geoarchaeological research that we are carrying out at Abu Tbeirah, thanks to the work of Salvatori, Milli, Luca, Forti, and Jaafar Jotheri. So I will try to summarize from my archaeological perspective all the results. So we will start from what is visible of the ancient canalization inside and outside the site from remote sensing. Just a moment, I try to switch. Okay. And then I will move to the field research and what we found at Abu Tbeirah and the results. So how the fluvial dynamics are connected to the life of Abu Tbeirah, or at least I will present our hypothesis. And in the last part, I will just briefly share with you our practical experience and how we solved some small issues that we encountered during our work. So let's move to the remote sensing and it's visible of Abu Tbeirah's canalization outside the site and inside the site. As you can see here, the canalization from Ur to Abu Tbeirah is clearly visible. There are lots of palaeo-channels that have been mapped and also published by Jaafar Jotheri in our first book. And the channels crossing Abu Tbeirah is realized by two paleo-channels joining in the small site of Tel Khaymer that is located just 1 kilometer northwest from Abu Tbeirah. As you can see here, unfortunately, the site is partially flooded now and also covered by a garbage dump. And there are very, very few fragments visible on the surface. So we can just hypothesize it is dated to the 3rd millennium BC. Another interesting feature of Abu Tbeirah's surrounding is the presence of several winding watercourses distributed around Abu Tbeirah and Tel Khaymer in a kind of radial pattern. These evidences have been interpreted by Jaafar Jotheri are kind of, and also as showed yesterday by Abdulhamir Al-Hamdani, as a kind of waterways in a way comparable to the holloways in northern Mesopotamia. But also Salvatori Milli was able to identify the presence of several crevasse clay bodies that you can see here, whose dimension decreased from northwest to southeast, south of Abu Tbeirah site. And if we move inside the site, in this hexagon satellite, it's very clear the presence of the main canal, of a basin, and of the secondary canal that is better visible in this other satellite imagery. Then on the southwestern part of the site, we have some elements that are still not clear and we have to further investigate in the next years. So let's move to our field research and what we did at the site. First, we investigated the harbor, and the basin, as you can see, is connected to the main canal that's in the site. And we suppose that the water flowed from the main canal inside the basin and then to the secondary canal. In this drawn picture, there are some very interesting features, like this kind of dashed lines. We do not know what this dashed line is, but it seems plausibly to indicate a kind of the possibility that water in a kind of permeability between the main canal and the secondary canal. 2 days ago, when Stephanie Ross talked about the flow divider, water divider, I mean, this can be an interpretation, but really we need to verify this feature on the ground. The interesting thing is also the presence immediately south of the secondary canal, of two huge buildings that are connected to this dense part of the settlement immediately south of the harbor and of the secondary canal, and in which buildings are oriented with the corners toward the cardinal points as typical in southern Mesopotamia. What we have done on the harbor, we verified this rampart that surround the basin, and in order to see which was the building technique used, and in both on the southern rampart and the northern rampart, we found this mud brick skeleton with this layer of clay, and the same situation can be found in the other rampart. We also opened what we just scraped, a huge rectangular platform that is located in the westernmost part of the harbor. This is particularly interesting because we have several layers lying over a clay nucleus that makes a kind of curve, a kind of bend, and is buttressed by a series of small walls realized with poorly shaped mud bricks. Here we found a pit that I'll pass in dating that has some pottery fragments dated to the second half of the 3rd millennium BC. What is interesting is first the fact that the Abu Tbeirah inhabitants that realized this structure made it with the nucleus, realized the nucleus with a curve, probably to adapt the structure to something that was pre-existing. And the other element is that the elevation of this terrace is the same of the easternmost part of the harbor. So we hypothesized that this platform was realized in order to overcome a difference in elevation between the two parts and protect the settlement from the flowing of water from the basin to southward. We also opened two small areas, just scraping also in this case the surface, in the place in which we suppose the water flowed from the main basin to the secondary canal. And here we found two small hips, and in the middle, depression. And on the side of this depression, we found the ground surface lined with small mud bricks. Moving slightly westward, we need further analysis here, but however, the kind of sediment that we found seems to indicate the passing of water. The last area that we opened is in the easternmost part of the rampart. As you can see, the rampart here is less preserved, but has also some white plaster covering its inner surface. We also checked the presence of the canals inside the tell. And what we found is that both the main canal and the secondary canal showed a comparable sequence of layers. As you can see here, for example, we have an earlier canal full of sand, indication of a good water regime, that at a certain point was artificially, at least from my archaeological point of view, cut. And the cut was covered with clay, and the second, later canal was so in this way created of a smaller canal full of silt and clay, so indication of water flowing quite slowly. The sediment inside this second canal are connected to at least to the last phase of the rampart. And as you can see here, the limit between the units of stratigraphy are not very clear, as should be expected in a place in which water played an important role. The situation in the secondary canal is similar. We have an earlier canal full of sand and a later canal with silty clay sediment. Here, the interesting thing is that on the bottom of the earlier canal, we found lots of pottery fragments dated to the second half of the 3rd millennium BC, a dating that was confirmed from some organic material that we found over the clay revetment of the later canal. Let's move outside the site, and on one of those southern Mesopotamian kind of holloways, we made a trench, and here there is Jaafar, that's it, indicating the holloway. And what we found is that we have a sequence of floodplain and crevasse clay sediment with a small canal on the top, channel on the top. Unfortunately, we've not been able to take the samples to Italy for dating, and we are still need so further analysis in order to verify Jaafar hypothesis and see the dating of this small canal. However, what is sure is that here we have a crevasse clay, and this is very interesting, as we will see in a moment. We made also several borers, a deep one with a borer machine and some other with a pedological instrument, and all have been joined in a correlation panel by Salvatori, Milli and Luca Forti. And here is the reconstruction that we can present you. The channel crossing Abu Tbeirah shifted its position from southwest to northwest, and we have in the left part of the correlation panel a crevasses clay sediment. Then, when there is boral H, boral H was made inside the arbor, and so the arbor was probably an oxbow lake that was then at least partially reduced by Abu Tbeirah inhabitants. And on the right part, we have also point bar deposits. First, when we first made the borehole in the arbor, we discovered this black layer on the bottom, and we thought, on the basis of comparison with other contexts, later contexts in Mesopotamia, that this was the bottom of the arbor. But when we dated it, we discovered a really strange dating that is comparable to that of a similar layer that we found in the deep borehole we made with the borehole machine here. Thanks to Salvatori, Milli, and also to the dating of a lower layer that is dated around to 7000 BC, we were able to understand what was happening here. So, sorry, we are, this moment, yeah. So we are dealing with probably with an inverted stratigraphy. So the black layer is the sediment left by a flood event that took earlier material downstream. So probably the bottom of the arbor was corresponds to the clay plug deposits that we have found inside it. Another interesting dating, as I told you before, is the one of the secondary canal that is dated to the second half of the 3rd millennium BC. So what this means and how the evolution of the river is crossing Abu Tbeirah is linked to the life of the settlement. What we can see from satellite imagery clearly is that Abu Tbeirah settlement is over a crevasse clay. So we can suppose that people choose this place, the top of the crevasse clay, and possibly also the point bars was yesterday, Jaafar was telling us, to realize the settlement. And this means also that the southern part of Abu Tbeirah was probably more affected by a flooding event. And this can be the reason why Abu Tbeirah settlement was gradually reduced to its northeastern part. And we might reconstruct that the reason behind the several abandonment of building A that we excavated during this year is connected with some of this flooding event, whose evidences can be possibly this kind of layers that we found in the outside of building A, partially covering and also cut by some graves related to the one of the building phases. Abu Tbeirah settlement was reduced gradually towards northeast, where we found mud bricks dated to Amarsuena king, and this connects Abu Tbeirah with the other sites in which bricks of Amarsuena have been found. Here you can see a GIS realized by Luca, joining together all the data available from other colleagues. And the end of Abu Tbeirah settlement possibly was connected to the reduction of the water regime of the canal. Which reason are behind this reduction is still not clear. It can be just changing in the water regime due to climate changes, or to work, or to natural development of the channels upstream. But still further analysis are obviously needed. So as I told you at the beginning, just some I want to share with you what means, for example, to take a borehole machine on the site. We had to pave again to fix the road to the site to allow the machine to reach it. And making a borehole 20-meter deep took almost one entire day. And so at the end, we have been really lucky that the battery of the machine was completely down, and we've been lucky to be able to restart again the engine of the machines, and so it can left the site. We also have some difficulties in finding core boxes, so we made a wonderful DIY boxes with using pallet. But also we have been able to realize X-ray of the cores that are giving us lots of interesting information. And to conclude, I would like to show you that, at least in our Italian way, drilling is not so boring. So thank you so much for your attention.